Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, genders of all ages, welcome to episode 7 of Alive on 1, the Transformers.cards podcast. I am your host, the God King Lord Zero, and I am flying solo today. This is our monthly podcast covering the Transformers TCG, what's been going on in the community, and what the design team has been up to. Hawkhammer is out on vacation with his family. I've been in the hospital, and not a lot has been happening behind the scenes, so this episode is a status report, a short catch-up of what's been going on. First, we have the card of the month. Today I'm looking at Master Metallikato from February 13th. This has really been one of the best cards for mixed pip decks. The game often struggles to not be dominated by orange or blue decks, especially in the WotC era, and Master Metallikato has done a lot to give mixed pips a chance. A lot of characters with multi-pip triggers also like it. For example, I use it in my Scorponok deck to trigger his claws, and I know some Fortress Maximus decks also use it to help with their triggers too. Moving on, we're in the middle of the Taking It Easy tournament, a casual 4-round event for players to maybe try out some new Wave 10 cards while they're still in beta. We're currently in round 3 of 4, and so far 7 of the 9 matches have been a 2-1, which is awesome. Not only does that suggest that the matches have been pretty balanced, but also that people are hopefully having fun with it. We didn't explicitly tell people that they have to run Wave 10 cards in this event, but every deck has at least one, and that's some great data for us. Staying on the topic of Wave 10, before the tournament started, we made some changes to a few cards in it. Rack and Ruin was changed from 11 to 12 stars, so that he can't be on the team with OPBL and I Got Your Back. Additionally, his ability text was changed so that it only triggers on equal or smaller characters as the one he's hitting. So if he's swinging it into a 12-star, the 3 damage can only go into a character that's 12 stars or fewer. The Dark Spark now does 1 damage to any one of your leaders at the start of the game. This was mainly done out of my strong belief that all stratagems need to have some sort of cost, even if small. Deflection Barrier had its battle icon changed from blue to black, but that change is still under review. We might flip it around a bit more. Cerebro Shell also had its battle icons adjusted, with the green icon now being the one that's Insecticon trait locked rather than the black. And then there's Enemy. He's so far the only card that we're still kind of debating back and forth. We dropped the Brave from his bot mode, and with one glaring exception, we're happy with where he's at. It feels nice without the Brave, things are working well. That one exception is Tripwire. As things are right now, Tripwire is nearly mandatory when going against a good 5-wide. Looking at tournament results from the last year, Tripwire was the 3rd most used card, at least in terms of decks using it. The most used were Bashing Shield, Energon Axe, Pocket Processor tied with Tripwire, followed by a Grenade Launcher tied with Force Field. The catch here is that Tripwire is the only card there that's used against a specific archetype. It's also the only action. Everything else is just generally a good upgrade regardless of what you're playing. This tells us that 5-wide is strong enough that people are needing to main deck a card specifically to handle it. So the debate with Enemy becomes, is the problem that he shuts down Tripwire, a card that is so needed against 5-wide? Or is the real problem that we need to add more cards to help players against 5-wide? Or is it both? One suggestion was to nerf Enemy so that his bot mode ability only triggers when there's a 10-star on his team, like Soundwave. This would mean he's largely relegated to only being used in cassette decks. Another suggestion was to make an alternative to Tripwire, something similar but different that Enemy couldn't stop, and that would help overall all decks against 5-wide. The big downside here, though, is the time it would take to add another card to Wave 10, further delaying the set. Like I said, that's really the only card from Wave 10 still in heavy debate, but we do have a couple small changes coming after this tournament is over. We're dropping the focus on Hydraulic Grapple and replacing it with Plan. That will make it easier to trigger, it'll make it more useful for white decks, and make it more useful for King Starscream. We're also changing the art on Hydraulic Grapple and probably a couple other cards as well. Then, somewhat related, Wave 9A Scorponok is being changed so that he starts with Electro Stinger in hand, rather than starting it with it equipped. This slows down how fast you can get Overwhelming Advantage to go off a little bit, and also lets the Squirt player equip the Stinger to do its damage. Moving on from that, TFCon LA is next weekend. I will not be attending as I'm saving up my money for a Japan trip next month, and the rest of the team can't make it out. So while none of the design team will be at TFCon, there's usually a tabletop room there, so if you want to play some games, bring a few decks, and check it out. I'm not sure yet what our TFCon Toronto plans are for this year, but at least I will be back at TFCon LA next year when I don't have as much traveling going on. And that is it for this status report. On the next episode, we will reveal the details for Encounter 2, the next event in our long-running tournament series. As always, comments and feedback can be left in the comment section of this video, or you can leave them anonymously at Transformers.cards/AliveOn1. Until next time, toodles.